The Silent Sentinel. The wind-swept plains of Kepler 452 bits stretched out like a canvas of muted grays and pale blues, broken only by the stark silhouette of Research Station Omega. Dr. Kendra Rice pressed her hand against the reinforced glass, watching the perpetual twilight that seemed to define this distant world. 12 years of isolation had etched themselves into every line of her face, every careful movement of her research-hardened hands. She wasn't alone, though most would argue otherwise. Behind her, suspended in a massive crystalline containment unit, resided the most extraordinary discovery of her career. Zoran wasn't just a specimen. Zoran was a mystery that had consumed her entire professional existence. The being appeared to be composed of interconnected crystal formations that shifted and pulsed with an inner light. No one, not her former colleagues, not the interstellar research consortium that funded this mission, could definitively classify Zoran's species or origin. Was it a life form? A sentient energy construct? A biological computer? Kendra had dedicated her life to finding out. Another atmospheric reading. She muttered, more to herself than to Zoran. The containment unit's sophisticated sensors hummed softly, translating environmental data into a complex matrix of light and color that danced across its transparent walls. Zoran had been discovered during the initial planetary survey, a strange, almost geometric formation nestled deep within a crystalline cavern. Initial scans suggested some form of biological activity, but nothing could have prepared Kendra for what happened when they first attempted communication. It wasn't language as humans understood it. Not sound, not light, not electromagnetic signals. Something else entirely. A resonance that seemed to bypass traditional sensory mechanisms and communicate directly with consciousness. The first time it happened, Kendra had been analyzing mineral samples. A sudden wave of something had washed over her. Not a thought, precisely. Not an emotion. More like a complex mathematical equation that spoke of loneliness, curiosity, and an immense, almost incomprehensible sense of waiting. Her research logs were filled with attempts to decode these communications. Quantum entanglement theories, advanced linguistic algorithms, neural network simulations. Nothing fully explained the phenomenon. A sharp beep from her primary console interrupted her reverie. Unusual energy fluctuations were registering in Zoran's containment unit. Nothing dangerous, but definitely outside standard parameters. "What are you trying to tell me?" Kendra whispered, approaching the crystalline structure. The crystal formations within the unit began to pulse, a rhythmic, almost musical transformation of light and shadow. If Kendra didn't know better, she'd say it looked like a response. Little did she realize that at that moment, something was approaching Research Station Omega. Something that would challenge everything she understood about life, communication, and the vast, largely unknown universe surrounding them. The wind outside picked up, carrying with it a peculiar resonance, a harmonic that seemed to echo the pulsing light within Zoran's containment unit. Something was changing. Something was coming. Whispers of emergence. The night cycle on Kepler 452 bits was unlike anything on Earth. Not true darkness, but a deep indigo that seemed to pulse with its own internal luminescence. Kendra had long since stopped trying to sleep according to traditional circadian rhythms. Her world revolved around Zoran and the endless stream of data that flowed from the crystalline containment unit. Unexplained anomalies. Something had changed in the last 72 hours. The energy readings from Zoran had become increasingly erratic. Quantum fluctuations that defied standard scientific explanation were now a constant companion to Kendra's research. She pulled up the latest diagnostic reports, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. The crystal formations within the containment unit were no longer static. They moved with purpose, if purpose could be attributed to a being that existed somewhere between matter and pure energy. A sudden burst of static crackled through the station's communication systems. Kendra froze. Isolated research stations didn't receive unexpected transmissions. Not out here. Not on this remote exoplanet that was more void than substance. Incoming signal. The station's AI announced in its neutral tone. Source: unknown. Triangulation attempt. Kendra's training kicked in. She began a careful triangulation of the signal, her fingers moving with practiced precision. The wavelengths were unlike anything in the standard communication spectrum. Not radio, not quantum, something else entirely. Behind her, Zoran's crystalline structure began to pulse more intensely. The light within seemed to synchronize with the incoming signal, a complex dance of energy that suggested communication far beyond human comprehension. "Talk to me," Kendra whispered, not to the AI, not to the incoming signal, but to Zoran. "What am I missing?" First contact protocols. Her mind raced through first contact protocols. 12 years of isolation had prepared her for many scenarios, but this felt different. This felt like something was breaking through, not just a signal, but a barrier between known and unknown. The station's external sensors began to register a massive energy buildup. Not a threat, precisely. More like a gathering. As if something was coalescing just beyond the station's perimeter. Zoran's containment unit now pulsed with an almost rhythmic intensity. The crystal formations within seemed to be reaching, stretching, attempting to connect with something outside the confines of its physical structure. "System anomaly detected," the AI announced. "Recommend immediate diagnostic." Kendra ignored the warning. Her entire career had been about pushing beyond recommended parameters, about understanding the incomprehensible. The approach. Something was approaching. Not a ship, not a traditional form of transportation. More like a wave of potential, of possibility. The external cameras began to register strange distortions, not visual aberrations, but something happening at the quantum level. Reality itself seemed to be bending. Zoran's communication became more intense, no longer random pulses, but a complex pattern that suggested urgency, warning, invitation. Kendra couldn't be sure. "Prepare containment protocols," she commanded the AI. But even as the words left her mouth, she knew traditional containment would be useless against what was coming. The line between observer and observed was about to blur in ways she could never have imagined. As the energy buildup reached its peak, Kendra realized one fundamental truth. Everything she thought she knew about Zoran, about life, about the universe, was about to change. The quantum convergence, temporal disruption. The moment of convergence defied every known scientific principle. Kendra watched, transfixed, as reality itself seemed to fold and unfold around the research station. Zoran's crystalline structure had become a conduit, a living bridge between dimensions that should never intersect. The station's quantum stabilizers screamed a warning. Emergency protocols initiated automatically, but Kendra knew they were meaningless. Whatever was happening transcended technological safeguards. "Communication attempt detected," the AI announced, its typically emotionless voice carrying a subtle undertone of uncertainty. "Signal source: non-linear quantum matrix." Zoran's transformation. The crystal formations within the containment unit began to reorganize, not randomly, but with mathematical precision that suggested an intelligence far beyond human comprehension. Each movement was a complex equation, each pulse a language of its own. Kendra realized she was witnessing something unprecedented. This wasn't just communication. This was a fundamental restructuring of reality itself. "You're trying to tell me something," she whispered, pressing her hand against the containment unit's surface. The crystal responded, not with light or sound, but with a wave of pure information that crashed through her consciousness. Fragments of memory. Images flooded Kendra's mind. Not her memories. Not human memories at all. She saw vast crystalline cities floating in impossible geometries, civilizations that existed simultaneously across multiple dimensional planes. A cosmic event that had fractured something fundamental in the universe's structure. Each image was a quantum snapshot, a moment that existed both now and always, both here and everywhere. The convergence point. The station's external sensors began to register impossible readings. Space itself seemed to be folding, creating a convergence point centered precisely around Zoran's containment unit. Structural integrity at risk, the AI warned. Recommend immediate evacuation. Kendra laughed. Evacuate? To where? This was the most significant moment of scientific discovery in human history. A breakthrough beyond understanding. The communication from Zoran was becoming clearer. Not through words, but through a direct neural interface that bypassed traditional sensory mechanisms. Kendra was experiencing a form of communication that existed beyond language. Pure conceptual transfer. She understood now. Zoran wasn't just a being. It was a messenger, a living repository of information about a cosmic event that threatened to reshape reality itself. The impending threat. Fragments of understanding crystallized in Kendra's mind. Something had broken. A fundamental barrier between dimensions was fracturing. Zoran was both a warning and a potential solution. The crystal formations began to pulse with increasing intensity. The containment unit's walls started to ripple, no longer solid, but something between matter and pure energy. Preparing quantum stabilization protocol, Kendra muttered, her fingers moving almost independently across the control interfaces. A choice emerges. In that moment, Kendra understood she was being offered a choice, not through words, but through a complex quantum communication that spoke directly to her consciousness. Join, understand, become. The line between Kendra Rice, human researcher, and something far more profound was about to blur completely. Outside the station, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. Fragments of existence. Dimensional threshold. The moment of transformation defied every known scientific understanding. Kendra felt herself existing simultaneously in multiple states, part human, part something entirely unclassifiable. The boundary between observer and observed had completely dissolved. Zoran's crystalline structure began to expand beyond the containment unit, its energy patterns weaving through the station's infrastructure like living circuitry. What had once been a contained specimen was now becoming something far more profound, a living network of consciousness that threatened to redefine the very concept of existence. Systems compromised, the station's AI reported, its voice now distorted, fragmented. Quantum stability, 17.3%, and declining. The convergence. Kendra's consciousness stretched beyond her physical form. She could perceive multiple realities simultaneously, each a potential timeline, each a fragment of a larger cosmic narrative. Zoran was not just communicating, it was integrating, transforming, revealing. Memories cascaded through her mind, not just her own, but collective memories of civilizations that had existed beyond human comprehension. Civilizations that had risen and fallen across dimensions most scientists would consider impossible. A cosmic warning. The true nature of the threat began to crystallize. It wasn't an external invasion or a traditional galactic conflict. Something fundamental was breaking, a cosmic membrane that separated different planes of existence. Zoran's communication became clearer, not through words, but through a direct neural interface that transcended language. A dimensional fracture was imminent. Multiple realities were converging. Humanity stood at a critical point of transformation. The station's metamorphosis. Around Kendra, the research station began to change. Walls became translucent, then transparent, then something between solid matter and pure energy. Equipment transformed, circuits realigning themselves into complex geometric patterns that pulsed with an inner light. Quantum integration protocol initiating, the AI announced, its voice now a blend of machine and something far more organic. The choice. Kendra understood now that she was more than just a witness. She was a potential bridge, a point of convergence between human limitation and cosmic potential. Zoran's crystalline formations reached out, touching her consciousness directly. The choice was simple yet infinitely complex. Remain human and witness the potential destruction of dimensional barriers. Become something more, a living conduit that could help stabilize the cosmic fracture. Time lost all meaning. Past, present, and future became a single fluid concept. The moment of decision. Her hand, was it still a hand, reached towards the transformed containment unit. The boundary between Kendra Reyes and Zoran blurred. She was no longer just observing the cosmic event. She was becoming part of its solution. Outside the station, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. Dimensional boundaries rippled like water, threatening to break completely. Something was coming. Something that would change everything. Resonance of hope. The convergence point. Reality itself seemed to pause, holding its breath at the precipice of transformation. Kendra, or what Kendra had become, existed in a state beyond human comprehension. She was simultaneously the observer and the observed, a bridge between countless potential realities. Zoran's crystalline structure had fully integrated with the research station, transforming the entire facility into a living network of consciousness. The boundaries between technology, biology, and pure energy had dissolved completely. A cosmic symphony. The dimensional fracture approached with the inevitability of a cosmic symphony. Kendra could now perceive the intricate threads that connected multiple realities, each a delicate strand in an incomprehensible tapestry of existence. Fragments of understanding crystallized. The threat was not an external force. It was a natural evolution of universal consciousness. Humanity stood at a critical point of transformation. The final integration. Quantum stabilization protocol at maximum capacity. The station's AI announced, its voice now a blend of machine precision and something far more organic. Kendra reached out, not with her hand, but with her entire being. The choice she had contemplated in the previous moment now revealed itself as something far more complex. This wasn't about saving or preventing. It was about understanding. Bridging realities. The dimensional barriers began to pulse, to breathe. What had seemed like a threat now revealed itself as a natural progression of cosmic evolution. Zoran was not an alien entity, but a messenger, a living conduit of universal transformation. Her consciousness expanded, touching the very fabric of reality. She could see civilizations that had preceded humanity, potential futures branching in countless directions, the intricate connections that bound all existence together. The moment of transformation. The research station, no longer just a physical structure, became a beacon, a point of convergence where multiple realities could communicate, could understand. Dimensional integration commencing. The AI declared, its voice now a perfect harmony of machine and living consciousness. A choice beyond choice. Kendra realized the true nature of the moment. This wasn't about saving or preventing. It was about becoming, about understanding the fundamental interconnectedness of all existence. The crystalline formations that had once been Zoran now pulsed with a light that transcended color, transcended perception. They reached out, connecting with something far beyond the confines of the research station. Resonance of possibility. In that moment, humanity's understanding of reality shifted. The boundaries between known and unknown, between possible and impossible, dissolved like mist in the morning sun. Kendra Reyes, scientist, explorer, bridge, became something more. A living testament to the potential of consciousness, to the infinite possibilities that exist beyond human perception. The dimensional fracture didn't break, it transformed. And in that transformation, hope was born. A hope that stretched across realities, across time, across the very fabric of existence. The story ends not with a conclusion, but with a beginning.